your spark plugs can play a really big role in a bad idle. I happen to use the NGK TR55s, and I gap them anywhere from I just at 50 or 45. You can tighten up the gap a little bit more than what the factory recommends. So that's about the only plug that I've found other than a Ford plug. I'm sure there's more, but I've tried other iridium type plugs and they just haven't worked. But that regular copper plug, where it doesn't last as long, you're going to have to probably change it out a whole lot sooner than like an iridium plug or a Motorcraft plug. That copper plug actually is a better conductor and is a better plug, and my car runs a whole lot better with those plugs in it now. So that NGK plugs, they really work in the car. And unless you're going for 800 to 1,000 horsepower, which stock Ford coils have been proven to work on cars up to 1,000 horsepower, there's no reason to spend a bunch of money on aftermarket coils. There's a lot of things that are engineered into the Ford coils that cause you to have interference problems. There's some people that they'll put coils on and the car runs fine, like those MSD or Excels. I've seen some videos where they've got some gains out of the coils, but the factory coils can still support a lot of power, so there's really no use to change those out. Just stick with a factory Ford coil. And all this goes back to stuff that we have done to make the car idle improperly. Coils, trying different plugs, intakes, trying different filters, mass air meters, getting a bad tune, or play with the settings on a handheld tuner. There a lot of that stuff we have done ourselves as far as having a bad idle on the car. If it's bone stock and it's not idling right, it's usually the idle air control. If it's got the stock EGR on it, it's probably filled up with carbon, and you can either try to clean it or replace the stock idle air control. But usually the idle air control is the culprit if it's stock and you haven't done anything to it. And the easiest way to check out your idle air control is to just go out and unplug the idle air control. If the idle changes, if it drops, then your idle air control is working, or at least working at enough to keep the idle up. And if you go and you unplug the idle air control and the idle doesn't change at all, the idle air control is either bad or it's clogged up and you need to try and clean it. But I always suggest if it's got well over 100,000 miles, go to Ford, get a new idle air control or Motorcraft idle air control, and replace it. That's if you've never touched the car, you haven't done anything with it. The fuel filter and idle air control is usually about the only things on a bone stock Mustang that'll cause the idle to go haywire and not want to run right for you.